So with all of these things taken into factor, is this a proper Lotus? No. Lotus, British brand, this made in China, Wuhan, China. Is this even a Lotus or just a badge of Lotus? Lotus is synonymous with small, agile, light and fast cars. This, on the other hand, is big, heavy and probably a bit cumbersome around corners. Well, this is the Lotus Eletre, a Lotus unlike anything else the world has ever seen. And why so? Well, Lotus is a British brand that is known for making small and dynamically sound cars. It has done that in all the years of its existence. But now, here is an SUV that is 5 meters plus in length. It's a proper full-size SUV, and to top it off, it's electric. And that's not where the buck stops. Being a British brand, you would expect this is coming out of UK, but no, this is coming out of Wuhan in China. So is this a Lotus really or not? Let's find out over the next few minutes. Now let's talk about the design first. Now, like I said, Lotus is known for making small and dynamically sound cars, but this, as you can see, is a large SUV, but that doesn't mean it's not efficient in terms of design. There are a lot of smart design inputs. If you look at the front, it looks sharp. There is a lot of action happening. It's a busy design, but it's all for a reason, and it's pretty clever. Because if you look at these vents here, they open and close in order to aid aerodynamic efficiency. Moreover, you've got again this gap here. This is again to let the airflow pass, and in turn this improves the aerodynamics. Even the wheels are optimized for that, and so is the entire design. As a result of all of these things, this car, despite being a big SUV, achieves a coefficient drag of just 0.26. And that, for this size of an SUV, is a mind-bogglingly low number. So definitely in terms of engineering, well, it does have all the kind of smart, clever tricks that you would expect from a Lotus. And once you move towards the side of the vehicle, it continues with a very sleek and hunkered down design. It is a big SUV, but it looks dynamic. If you look at the sloping roof line, and you have the very interesting spoilers at back, not just one spoiler but two of them. Well, the one at the top you see is a split unit because there's space for the LiDAR sensors in between, and then you've got this second spoiler, which is an active spoiler at the back. It works according to the speed of the car, creates downforce, and also you've got these scoops and gaps at the rear in the bumper, and the overall design of the rear again is quite sharp like the front. At the end of the day, comes together, looks cool, and works well in terms of aerodynamic efficiency too. Now, before I go ahead and tell you more about the driving bits about the Eletre R, if you've made it so far into the video, then you're liking it, so please hit that subscribe button. Do press that little bell icon so that our future videos can reach you, and share it as well. So that was about the design, but then again, that doesn't, just some smart design features or design angles do not make it a Lotus. The point is, does it feel like a Lotus and does it drive like one? So let's talk about the cabin first. Once you sit inside the cabin, it does look like a proper uber luxury cabin. By no standards, you can say that it doesn't reek of top class luxury. It has got brilliant material quality. The design of the dashboard again is pretty good, and the control layout is nice. The display quality is good. I like the fact that the front display is quite sleek. You do not have like a big screen, but despite the fact that it's not a big screen, the readouts are very clear. It's easy to decipher information on the go. There's also this large infotainment touchscreen, and this, by the way, folds once you exit the car. It just goes to a flat position. This also again looks good. The visibility is good. The touch response is good. What could have been better though is the user interface. It's slightly complicated, will take time to get used to. It's not intuitive. I mean, to say it in simple words, it's not an intuitive user interface, but yes, once you get over that challenge, it does work well. You've also got this display on the other side, gives out information to the co-passenger. There's a nice HUD, gives you a lot of information, and like I said, it feels good. There are good driving modes, and they also change the way the seating is. So if I put it into a touring mode, it relaxes the seats. The side support again just gets eased out. Once I put it into sport mode, everything gets tight around you. The seats hug you tight, because then the car knows that you are going to throw it around the corners really hard, and the seat then hugs you, holds you in place. So all of these nice features work well. Even at the back, you've got loads of space. I mean, a 3-meter wheelbase, that means you have a lot of leg room. It's an almost flat floor. So this one is a 5-seat Eletre R. And of course, let me tell you, there are 3 versions you can choose from: Eletre, Eletre S, both of them having lesser power and a different battery. This one is the R. This is the top of the line. And this one, the car that we are driving, comes with the optional panoramic sunroof. Doesn't open, by the way, but is a massive unit, and the 5-seat option at the back. And like I said, the seats are great, the space is there, the headroom, legroom, everything's there. So it is an SUV that you can use on a daily basis for practical reasons, and you can have 5 people sitting in this vehicle with as much comfort as any other 3 crore rupee car could get you. And now on to the most important part, the driving bay. Does it drive like a Lotus should? Well, let's get the numbers out of the way. First, it comes with a 112 kilowatt hour battery. That's massive. In fact, its closest rival, which isn't in India as of now, the Tesla Model X, also has a smaller battery. So the battery here is larger than that. A pretty heavy unit, and that's the reason why this car in the R trim weighs over 2.6 tons. So it does need a lot of power to move it around, and luckily it has a lot of that. 905 horsepower, 985 newton meters of torque, and we are talking about numbers that are no longer in the supercar territory. These, my friends, are hypercar numbers. But the biggest question is that this is the first time Lotus has made an electric car. From an Indian perspective, yes, in India, this is the most powerful electric car on sale. This is also the most expensive electric car on sale in India. But the big question, which I keep coming to again and again, is that with all of this power, all of these features, does it feel and drive like a Lotus should, that all of us have known for years and decades? The best way to find out is to push pedal to the metal, and let's find out. I'm in sport mode right now. It just blasts off the line. In sports mode, you've got restrictive traction control interference, and the tires are constantly struggling for grip. There is so much torque, all of the 985 newton meters channeling through the axles and onto the wheels, but still somehow it holds its line as long as you can just manage the steering well. And this is acceleration that really pins you back to the seat. It will just shove you back into the seat. You feel as if someone's just kicked you in the chest. That is how hard you go into the seats. And well, it does claim to do 0 to 100 in less than 3 seconds. I have no doubt about that. It definitely is a fast car, moves like a rocket ship off the line. Even Your acceleration while on the move is fantastic. So there's no question about having enough power or not. It's not that question anymore. It's about how much of it can you use, and the good part is that you can use a lot of it. The car, the chassis, all of it has been designed in a very nice way, and that's where the British engineering from Lotus comes into play, because yes, this has been designed and developed by British engineers. Yes, there is Chinese involvement as well. It is made in Wuhan, China, but you can make out once you drive it that this is proper British engineering that has gone into the vehicle. The chassis, the kind of suspension setup, the air suspension again does a great job. When you want it to be comfortable over speed bumps, over bad surfaces, it works well, irons out all of them, and once you plonk it into sport or track mode, it just comes to life. It stiffens up, gives the car a lot of ability to attack corners, and all of that power, well, it is always there at your disposal. At times though, you might feel it's just a little too much, because when you are trying to exit a corner hard in this car and you're in sports mode, it'll take some time to get used to it, but initially you realize that it just gives you a huge dollop of power, which means that you have to go into correction mode. But the end result is a lot of fun, and if I remember correctly, that is exactly what Lotus cars are meant to be. Give you fun. Yes, it's not a small car anymore, it's not nimble. It does show its limitations around corners when you're really pushing it hard, because there's a lot of weight that is being carried around. Nonetheless, at the end of the day, it is an SUV that is going to give you proper hypercar performance without any compromise in terms of luxury, and it's also gonna give you that badge value, the ability to stand out. When your peer group, your friends might roll into an Urus, which is probably more than 1 crore rupees expensive than this, but might only have about 600 horsepower. You, on the other hand, would end up spending only about 3 crore ex-showroom, which means more than 1 crore, more than 1.2 or 1.4 crores than the Urus, depending on the trim, but a lot more power, lot more torque. Yes, no sound, and that's a problem. No artificial sounds also, so that's a good thing. But if an electric SUV is what you want with blistering performance, I think the Eletre R is one of the best bets you can go at. But it's an electric, so there's naturally the concern about range, charging, all of that. So like I said earlier, 112 kilowatt hours of battery, and that's a massive battery pack. It does support fast charging, super fast charging. It supports up to 350 kilowatt hour charging, which by the way does not exist in India. But if you were to put it onto a 350 kilowatt charger, you could go from 10% to 80% in just 20 minutes. In India though, because we don't have those kind of chargers, it will take a little more longer, but still on a wall box charger, you should be able to do it in about 6 hours, I'm assuming. And in terms of realistic range, I'll not go by what the company says. I'll tell you what I've been getting. And realistically from this car, if you're driving it in a normal way, you can expect about 400 kilometers of range, maybe a bit more, 420 odd kilometers of range. But like I said, this is a performance car, and if you're going to go a little happy with the throttle, the range could come down significantly. So if you're going corner hunting and you're going to blast through trying to headbutt the horizon, well, in that case, expect about 300 kilometers of range, which isn't bad. For an SUV of this size, it gives you everything. It's got the range to go for a weekend outing. It's got the range to go with your friends and families from one city to another. You also have off-road mode. It's an SUV, so you can actually take it to places without having to worry about scraping the belly. So none of that is a problem with this car. And yeah, I mean, I don't think the electric powertrain is a limiting factor in any way for this car. It's just a big advantage in terms of power and torque. Yes, no sound, but I mean, that's how the future is going to be like.